looking forward to the New Hampshire March for Life in a few weeks. How about you?
I'm super excited about it. Yeah, we've got a lot of really exciting guests that are going to be, or guest speakers, and I just think it's every year it's a great year, and this year we partnered with the National March for Life to make it a kind of like a state march. So we've been doing it for at least since the 80s, but I think this is the
Wow.
first year we've ever partnered with National March for Life. So I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, especially with the partnering with National March because we've done that in Connecticut and it's resulted in a really great turnout at that march. So definitely excited to see that in New Hampshire. Um, but today we have two special guests to come tell us about the details about the New Hampshire March for Life. We have Mark and Roy from the Knights of Columbus. So let's welcome them in.
Hello
Awesome.
there. Welcome. We're
Mark, hi
excited to
Roy.
be
How
here.
are you? Great.
Good, good,
Thanks
good.
for joining us. Appreciate it. Are you guys staying warm?
As warm as you can.
I was out today without a coat on. It was 35 degrees.
Yeah,
I'm 60 miles further north than Roy, so it wasn't quite that. Well, it wasn't cold, but it was definitely not quite that balmy.
Okay, fair enough. I'm in Concord currently, and it's pretty
No,
cold here.
you're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, pretty cold here. But I've been by a nice fireplace for the last like 3 hours, so
Nice.
been enjoying that. But yeah, so we brought you on the podcast today. Back on the pod. I think you guys are the first guests that have been on the podcast twice, I believe. Um,
Yeah,
so congratulations.
happy to be.
oh, what a distinction.
Man, I'm impressed.
So yeah, very good. An honor. But yeah, we're excited to have you here to talk about the New Hampshire March for Life. So, Roy, I'll let you speak about it a little bit. Could you tell us a little bit more about the march, when it's taking place, and some of the details?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Um, it's been probably 3, 4, 5 years now since I've been coordinating the New Hampshire March for Life, and we're excited to have just a great lineup again. And our goal is to have 1,000 people standing in front of the
Wow.
state capitol building on January 10th at 12 noon for our big rally that we have. So I throw that number out because and as we go through this podcast, I'll explain how we're going to bring in more people and more participants who are what I call pro-life warriors around the state of New Hampshire. Um, because historically, it's been, really a quote Catholic type of event. We really haven't reached out beyond the Catholic Church, and I think this is going to be a tremendous influx of so many other organizations and missions that are going to be part of the Right to Life March. And just to go over, I'll go over the agenda here, which can be accessed on the Knights of Columbus website. And I'm life chairman. I'm life director for the Knights of Columbus here in New Hampshire, as well as a board member on the New Hampshire Right to Life. So the combination of both of our organizations have come together and to develop this wonderful leadership for this organization. So we're going to start off on January 10th, which is a Saturday. And this is a non-cancelable event. In other words, regardless of the weather, this thing is on. We don't have any backup dates. It's the middle of January, and only the hardy shows up, whether it's snow, sleet, rain. Rarely is it 40 degrees and sunny, but that's the way it goes.
So, Roy, were
Uh,
you there a couple of years ago when I think it was, I can't remember,
I think it
maybe
was
five
last.
years ago or something, where it
Okay.
was like, I think it was like 50 degrees or something.
Absolutely.
You were there, yeah.
Wow.
And
That
so
was our
just,
best
just
attendance, by the way.
Right, of
I
course.
think you're right. And then I think there was another year we had to cancel it last minute because I think it was literally a high of 0 or 5.
Oh my goodness.
And now hardy New Englanders or New Hampshireites, like I'm sure they can handle it, but we were just worried that they were like standing outside in front of the state house for a half hour and then walking down Main Street. We were just concerned that there was probably going to be somebody who'd get frostbite, so we just moved it indoors.
You never know what the weather's going to be. I remember last year, I think it was snowing during the march, and I made my way up from. Actually, I think I had stayed over somewhere in New Hampshire, so I didn't make my full way up from Connecticut. But I do remember driving in snow to the march. But there was still a decent turnout. So
Yeah. So Jason's got the agenda right up on the screen there. We're going to start off at 9 a.m. At a service at the Concord landfill, and it's a short service of 20, 30 minutes, because the reason we do it is a couple of decades ago, we were alerted that the abortion clinics in the Concord area were disposing of human remains of these babies that were aborted, and they would wind up in the Concord landfill. And since once it was exposed, it was obviously stopped at that point, and they didn't do it anymore. But we have a remembrance of those babies starting off at 9 a.m. Right in Concord, and it's only about a half mile away from the State House, where the landfill is located. And then we come back at 10 a.m. and have a pro-life Catholic Mass at Christ the King Church on South Main Street. And Father Roberge, who's the pastor, Father Roberge has been a tremendous leader in the pro-life movement here in New Hampshire. And he gives a wonderful homily, a pro-life homily during the Mass. And we, as members of the Knights of Columbus, will have an honor guard during the Mass in order to elevate the importance of the Mass. And then after Mass, the Mass will end about 11 o'clock, and we'll either walk up or if some people will drive up. It's okay. It's about a half mile walk up the street to the State House, the Capitol building of the State House, and people can drive up with their cars and park, because it's on a Saturday, so you don't have anywhere near the traffic you would normally during the week. And so at 11:30 we'll gather at the assemble in front of the State House, and we'll have all of the folks there. Our goal is, as I said, our goal is to have 1,000 people there, and we've got wonderful pro-life speakers, and I'll just touch on them. My state senator, who represents Windham, Hampstead, and Derry. Her name is Regina Birdsell. Regina has been a wonderful representative for us in our geographic area. She's been a staunch pro-life advocate in the New Hampshire Senate for many years. The defender of life. She's what I refer to as a pro-life warrior for us. She's also a parishioner at St. Anne's Church in Hampstead, and she'll be our first speaker. And the speakers will be maximum 10 minutes each, so they won't be long in terms of speaking. And then the second speaker is the leader of our podcast here today, Jessica Power, who is the New England coordinator for Students for Life of America, and she'll talk about her role as coordinating Students for Life in a variety of colleges and high schools throughout New England, and specifically in New Hampshire. And then Jacinta Swope, SWOPE, she heads up the Students for Life at Thomas More College in Manchester, and she's agreed to come in and speak from a student standpoint what success they're having at Thomas More College in Manchester. And finally, we'll have Dick Kiernan, who is a brother knight. He's a member of the Knights of Columbus Council in Bedford, New Hampshire, which is right next to Manchester. And he will talk about the New Hampshire Alliance, which is a Christian pastor organization made up of over 100 churches in New England. I'm sorry, in New Hampshire, not just in not New England, but just in New Hampshire. And he'll talk about the network of non-Catholic Christian pastors and how the pro-life movement is working in their congregations throughout the state. And also he'll refer to the Whole Life Gospel Alliance that Dick and myself and a couple of other core leaders have founded here in New Hampshire to bring all of the pro-life organizations together under one umbrella. So the Whole Life Gospel Alliance specifically is focusing on the dignity and sanctity of all human life from conception in the womb all the way through natural death. So it's a whole life approach for every human being, and it's been a tremendous success so far. So Dick will talk about that. And then after the rally, about 12:30 or so, the Knights of Columbus Honor Guard will lead the march down Main Street on the sidewalk, heading back down to Christ the King Church, where we will meet. We'll pass the abortion facility right on Main Street, and we will have a white casket that's being carried by one of the members of the Knights of Columbus Honor Guard, and just to commemorate unborn children that have been aborted in that facility, and making people aware that we are a pro-life movement, honoring life all the way from the womb to natural death. And then we'll continue down and finish at Christ the King Parish Center, right on South Main Street, where we'll have soup and hot beverages served by the wonderful volunteers at Christ the King Church, and followed by speakers in the parish hall. One of our director of programs for the Knights of Columbus, Ron Bork, will make a presentation to New Hampshire Right-to-Life and speak for a couple of minutes. And then the main speaker that we have lined up is a woman named Jessica Keating, who is the program director for Notre Dame Office for Life and Human Dignity. And it's Notre Dame University, and she has agreed to come to Concord and be one of our speakers in the seminar portion of our New Hampshire rally and march. So she'll be one of our speakers right after lunch. And we'll finish up probably around 2:30 in the afternoon, and be a wonderful day all together. It'll be a great day.
A very full but great time, great day. Jason,
cool.
could you touch on Jessica Keating, our speaker, for the reception part a little bit? Because I think you know her a little bit more in her position and what she does.
Yeah. So just want to preface, or would it be not preface, be suffice what Roy said. We do have a very packed schedule, but you don't have to come for all of it. If you have time constraints and you can only make some of it, just pop in for what you can. And it's an amazing experience to see so many people excited about life, excited about supporting mothers and babies. It's just a really great time to come out. So highly recommend. If you can't do the whole afternoon and morning, then just come for the parts you can. But yeah, to answer your question, Jessica, so Cindy and I were out at Notre Dame University this past summer for this wonderful thing called Vita Institute, which I think of as like a boot camp for pro-life. They have these like world-renowned speakers and experts in every different area of the life movement, and they're giving you talks on their specialty areas, and then you're having meals together with all the other participants and the speakers. And so Jessica was one of those speakers, and she spoke about how a lot of the early feminists were actually very pro-life. They saw like having children as being a part of womanhood, not something to be fought with. And actually, I think abortion was seen as more of a control mechanism for the men to be able to, have the parts that they want, but then not have to have the responsibilities. So I'm really excited that we're going to be having Jessica here. I don't know if she's going to give exactly the same talk, but her talk at Vita Institute was just really, really amazing and very educational, and just helps you to see like that pro-life has actually been there. Pro-life is actually the norm. It's this idea that after Roe v. Wade and some special interests got some power, then we've had abortion more normalized, but it throughout most of history it is not normal.
The feminist talking points for the issue are always very interesting to me, and I kind of hope she touches on that a little bit, because I actually recently heard a talk from Feminists for Life, and they kind of touched on some of those points as well. But I think that they're not talked about as much. I think that talking point in the movement about how the early feminists were pro-life isn't really discussed too much. So I think it would be a really good perspective for a lot of people to hear, especially young people who go as well. So
yeah, because I think if you look at a lot of the largest feminist movements, a lot of them are pro-abortion. We actually had a speaker, and I'm really sorry to whomever it was. I can't remember if it was a banquet or a March for Life, some years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, who worked for, I think it was Vanity Fair magazine back in the 70s, and she talked about how at the National Organization of Women, they actually, to get them to adopt a pro-abortion plank, there were like some shenanigans. It was something like they waited till a lot of people went home, and it was something along those lines. And then after people had left, then they introduced the vote, because they knew that they were going to stick around. And there were like some very prominent feminists who quit because they disagreed with that change so much. So, it's not, people just think, oh, well, this is the way it is now is normal. It turns out there was a lot of working behind the scenes and a lot of manipulation that went into that.
It's really interesting.
So, yeah. So there's just so much to learn. Like the more you press in on this pro-life thing, there's a lot of things that are out there that aren't really that obvious.
Absolutely. So another question, do people need to RSVP to come to the march, or can they just show up if they realize that they're free that day? Is it preferred that they RSVP?
So people are welcome to RSVP. We have a link on our site that you can use to RSVP, but I mean, we want you there, whether you RSVP'd or not. Don't let that be a hindrance.
Awesome. Mark, what has your experience been with the New Hampshire March? Do you have any? Have you gone in the past, and do you have any?
I'll be honest with you. This is going to be my very first time being present there.
Very cool.
I battle back and forth with significant back and hip issues that generally is not conducive for lots of standing and walking. But I will tell you that I'm very excited, along with the membership here in New Hampshire. We're really rallying our councils and looking to get as many members. I hear many folks, much like myself, who perhaps haven't been before, or it's been a while since they've been, that they intend to come. And to Roy's point earlier, we're looking, hoping and shooting for 1,000 folks to be there to really make a huge impression upon, our stance and support for life. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's not bitterly cold, but I'm all in. So short of a blizzard or something, I plan on being there, rain, snow, shine, 0 or 50. I prefer 50. I'll accept 30. 30 would be pretty nice to January. But we'll have to check with Mike Haddad down there in Manchester and see what he can do for us.
People should just bring some hot chocolate.
A thermos or something. I'll probably have a heating pad because of my back. So maybe that'll help too.
But don't forget that afterwards, there's afterwards at the parish hall that there's a group of people who are so faithful there. They make hot chocolate. They prepare lunch, and it's just been a huge blessing year after year. And what a support for life they have.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in with what Mark just said. You know, even if it's, traditionally it's going to be lousy weather. So my impression and my recommendation is just to show up, and ideally show up with your family. It's important to come and bring your children so they can participate in this beautiful event. And as you know, Jessica, with the work you're doing with the Students for Life of America, you can touch on that in a second. But there's so many other organizations. I just listed 14 of them here. Other than New Hampshire Right-to-Life with Jason and myself, and also with the Knights of Columbus, we've got, Mark and I. Mark is the state deputy, which means he's got over 7,000 Knights of Columbus members, brother Knights in New Hampshire. And if you add in family to that, you're looking at about 25,000 members, including family members, into the organization. So it's a wonderful, and that's why I'm a Knight. It's such a positive pro-life organization. And just to give you a feel for it, just in New Hampshire alone, the Catholic Church, people don't realize there's 250,000 registered Catholics in the state of New Hampshire. That means that they have signed up with their local parishes, and they're active in each of the parishes. And there's about 70 parishes throughout the state. And I work closely with Ken Kramer, who's the director of life for the Diocese of New Hampshire. Also, Tara Bishop is the communications director, and just wonderful cooperation from Bishop Labaski, who is our bishop in New Hampshire. And as I mentioned before, my brother Knight, Dick Kiernan, works a tremendous opportunity with non-Catholic Christians throughout the state of New Hampshire to bring in so many other pro-life Christians to this event. And the other, we also have Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization. Now his wife has taken over the organization. We have a fellow named Davis Miller, I should say. He's the field rep for Turning Point. He's going to be involved in the March for Life on January 10th, and he's recruiting so many wonderful young college people throughout the state of New Hampshire, working, I know, in conjunction with you, Jessica, to get young students involved in our event. We also were working with Dave Tebow. Dave is the superintendent of schools for all of the Catholic schools / parochial schools here in New Hampshire, made up of thousands of students, high school down to junior high and down to elementary school. And working with Dave, we're setting up pro-life clubs in each of the schools, and also incorporating pro-life curriculum in each of the schools, so that teachers can have a curriculum that they can carry through to the students. And also pregnancy care centers. We have a pregnancy care center in Concord who's going to be participating in the Care Women's Center, which is headed up by Kelly Ugalom is her name. She's the director, and she's going to be involved along with the other 15 pregnancy care centers throughout the state. We got the Men of St. Joseph that I work with, which is a Catholic men's organization. Um, the Nathan Project, which is a project that is working on to stem the tide of pornography that's has spread all over the country, and is one of the ministries, one of the 60 ministries that are under the Whole Life Gospel Alliance, that also is part of the one of the organizations participating in this rally, and finally, the New Hampshire State Senate and the state representatives. We have 400 state representatives. We have 24 state representatives, state senators in Concord, and I spend a lot of, and Jason does too. Jason and I spend a lot of time in Concord promoting pro-life legislation, and then also on the other side of the coin, opposing anti-life legislation that comes up for a vote in Concord. And we've got wonderful support from the pro-life caucus of members that are in the House and the Senate, and they are also going to be participating in the rally as well, rally in March. So
Roy, can I just on that idea of legislation? So one thing might be good to point out is at the beginning of the indoor part of the rally at Christ the King Church, we're actually going to have a presentation of legislation coming up that affects the life issue. So I'm really excited. We have some amazing legislation going in this year. One of the things I'm most excited about is we have one that would outlaw this unfortunate epidemic of men putting abortion drugs into women's drinks without their knowledge. And so we've been working with some legislators to introduce a bill to prohibit that. But there's a lot of good stuff that's going in. So stay tuned.
Yep.
Sorry, I just wanted to add that in.
It's a great bill idea. I was actually talking to, I was at Bishop Brady High School this morning doing a pro-life presentation, and I was talking to them about that piece of legislation, and the campus minister was like, how is that not illegal already? And I'm like, yeah, you'd think, right? Common sense. So I think that's a really wonderful piece of legislation that really should be passed. So, yeah, but it's definitely a lot of support from lots of different organizations throughout the state, as you mentioned, Roy. And yeah, I'm excited because I know some of the high school students that I've been working with recently are planning on going. I know that there's some students from Bishop Brady High School that are going to go. I've heard Trinity High School is going as well as Holy Family Academy, and I'm sure some other high schools in the state as well. So definitely want young people to show up as well. There'll be college students. I'm sure students from UNH will be going, and we know Thomas More College is going as well, and St. Anselm, all of those schools. So yeah, it's definitely a march that's well supported by a lot of different people. So.
Yeah, we have a wonderful representation too, Jessica, from the University of New Hampshire with the Students for Life organization there, the club that's on campus. And that's a tough environment because it's not a Catholic school. I mean, it's a public college, and I have to I admire those students for standing up for life. And Jason, what's the name of the state rep and also student at UNH Farrington? Right? What's his first name?
Yeah, Representative St. Farrington. I don't. Has he told you he's coming? I haven't specifically asked him, but
he is coming. I talked to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, he's
cool.
he's actually sponsoring some really amazing pro-life bills this year. For instance, to protect our pregnancy centers.
No, here's a young guy who's 20 years old, 21 maybe.
I think he's an undergrad.
Yeah, I think he's like
he's
20.
an undergrad, and he is on fire with the pro-life movement in the University of New Hampshire, and he's an incredible debater. I watch this guy operate, and whether it be on campus or in front of 400 legislators, he stands up there as a 20-year-old or 21-year-old, and he's tremendous, and the enthusiasm he has is just awesome, and that's the kind of caliber of people that we need. not only in government, but also in the Students for Life organizations, and obviously with Turning Point as well, in the college campuses, not just in New Hampshire, but all over the country.
Yeah, I love that in New Hampshire we have this kind of mentality that like somebody's got to do it, and maybe I should step up to it. Like we have just such a volunteer culture. I think about it like on the town level, like every little town needs like 100 or 200 volunteers just to run, because that's the way we're set up. But like in the legislature with our 400 reps and 24 senators who are, all volunteers basically. And in the pro-life movement. Yeah. I love Sam's attitude that you were bringing up, Roy.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll mention before, and I have to mention it because I'll forget it. My wife Mary and I I volunteered with the Supreme Knights of Columbus Supreme Headquarters down in New Haven because they're coordinating volunteers at the National Right to Life down in Washington, which is going to take place January 23rd, which is a little over a week after our Right to Life March in New Hampshire. And I'm going to be working with the Knights of Columbus volunteers in Washington, handing out signs and rallying the troops, so to speak. There's over 1 million people that are going to be marching in Washington on January 23rd. So, I mean, we're stretching to get 1,000 people in New Hampshire, but can you imagine what Washington, D.C. is going to be like with over 1 million people walking down Pennsylvania Avenue? It's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
it's pretty
that's
cool.
going to be amazing.
I'll also be there handing out signs, so we should meet up.
Good. I hope we run into each other, but of course, what are the odds of that happening with that many people?
Stranger things have happened. It was so funny. Last year, I ran into a student from Rhode Island who I had a hard time getting in touch with, and then I just ran into her at the March for Life. We were just she was walking by, and we were like, "Oh, where are you from?" And she was like, "Rhode Island." And I was like, "No way, that's my region. That's where I work." And then I realized it was a student that I had been meaning to get in touch with. So you never know. We definitely could. But anyway, this has been great. Thank you you guys for coming on and telling us the details about the march. And yeah, we hope everybody will join us on Saturday the 10th, January 10th, for the New Hampshire March for Life in Concord, New Hampshire.
Yep, and go to NHR. If you need any information, you go to nhrtl.org. And that's the website right behind me. And we have this whole schedule. You can RSVP. You can get on our mailing list. And if for instance, you can't make it and you want to support, the New Hampshire March for Life, you can make a donation. And there's just a lot of good stuff. So nhrtl.org is our website again.
Yeah, and if folks want to get on the Knights of Columbus website, it's www.nhight.org, and they can click on the icon for the 2026 New Hampshire Right to Life March.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for coming on the podcast, and we hope that you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll see you in January.
Thank you for having us, and we'll see everybody on the 10th.
Sounds great. Appreciate it, Jessica, for all your support here. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, everyone.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Ever Living Podcast, a podcast by New Hampshire Right to Life, New Hampshire's oldest and most active pro-life organization. You can learn more about our work and learn how to get involved at www.nhrtl.org. If you would like to donate to our mission, you can make a donation at www.nhrtl.org/donate. See you next week. May God bless you and be very near to you, and may you be ever living.